Hi everyone, my name is Dungju Kim. I am the CEO of Cherry Assistant and the host of Behind the Founders. Today we have Leonard here. Leonard, please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us about what you do and what's brought you here today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Leonard Jackson. I'm the founder and CEO of Norfleet Transportation. We're a freight transportation provider. We service the world. We import cargo from other countries, and we move the freight all over the United States. And been doing it for quite some time. And what brings me here is Mr. DJ here. I guess he heard about me. Everybody knows Norfleet Transportation. I'm
hmm
kidding. We're mostly B2B, so a lot of people haven't heard of it, but I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And I see on your LinkedIn you have a couple of things that you've done. You have Leonard Jackson Inc., you have Norfleet Transportation and Logistics, and you have Factor E Funding. Can you tell us a little bit about these different businesses and how they work together?
Absolutely. So, Leonard Jackson Inc. So I've also produced and star in a lot of television and commercials. And we're starting to do a lot of commercials for our own entities now. But I used to do a lot of commercials for, you know, Pepsi, Coke, State Farm, Geico. I've done all that over the same course of time that I built my business. I've always had I don't know, I got bit with the acting bug when I was really young. I just could never turn it loose. I did stand-up comedy for a little while. So I always had this thirst for entertainment, but also this hunger for business. And I'm one of those guys where there's, as Master P would say, no limit. I just go for it. And so far, I've done over 200 TV commercials, about 100 TV shows, a few movies, and I built a mid-sized business.
That's
And I ran
awesome.
for governor last year.
Oh, did you? Nice. How did that
Yeah.
go?
It went well. I was doing really well, and I ran into a brick wall because the post office. I shipped my 5 years of tax returns that they need. I shipped it through the post office, and they delivered it late, so that excluded me from the ballot, just like that. So I'm very disappointed, but I'm coming back even stronger next time.
So, how do you balance doing all these acting gigs with running Norfleet? Where does your time go, and how do you manage that?
This happened to me when I was really young. I was playing a lot of video games and watching a lot of sports. And I said to myself, it just hit me one day. I was like, man, I wonder how much more I could get done if I stopped playing these games. And I found myself actually having way more time on my hands than I thought I would have. People don't realize it doesn't take a whole lot to be successful. You just have to, as Nike says, you just have to do it. And before you know it, it's like, man, I got plenty of time on my hands. I mean, I still watch sports. I don't play as many video games, but I have 4 kids. I have a wife, 20. What is it? We've been married 26 years. I have 4 kids. And I'm very active dad. I go to all their games. I coach them. I run all their programs, a lot of the programs with the school. I still go to auditions. I still do acting jobs. People don't realize time management is one thing. If you could get that down, it will change your life.
Right. And where does Factor E funding fit into this?
Yes, sorry. So Factor E. So a lot of companies in my space, we're a transportation logistics company. So we do ocean, air, rail freight, full truckload freight, less than truckload freight. And a lot of companies in my space, what they do eventually is they start a factoring company. What is factoring? Well, a lot of these trucking companies that you hire to do your loads, they're a lot of mom and pops. They don't have a lot of capital. So factoring allows for them to get capital instantly. So for example, if they do a shipment, they deliver it, they send an invoice to the factoring company. The factoring company gives them like 90% of the face value of that invoice. Then the factoring company sends it to their customer. And when the customer finally pays the factoring company will give them the remaining 10%, but they hold 5%
Yeah.
fee for that.
Yeah.
So right now, what we're doing is we have a what you call quick pay. So we offer quick pay to the carriers to do our loads, but we're gonna evolve into just a full-on factoring company so we can help them get their money quicker, not just from doing our loads, but other companies' loads.
Interesting. Okay, so it's almost like payday loans, but for companies where they can get their invoices paid faster and
That's a great way to put it. Yep. That's a
okay.
great way to put it. And so
Awesome.
we're
Okay.
digitizing the process. I've always thought about doing it. I recently graduated, got my MBA from Pepperdine. I would say, how long ago now? Almost 5 years ago. And we had a special topics weekend, and it was pretty much focused on digitizing things. This is a little bit before AI became in everybody's
Hmm.
conversation. Um, but that weekend really hit me hard because I thought, man, this process, there's still a lot of manual, there's still a lot of human interaction with these processes. It's not automated enough. So a colleague of mine in my cohort in my class, we partnered up and we started this company called Factory, and it's totally digitizing the entire process. Actually, it's two. Started off with just one other person from my cohort, but now it's three of us total now. And we're gonna roll it out hopefully, I would say by the end of the year. But it's gonna totally revolutionize the process. I would say the whole entire industry.
Yeah. And is there any other companies that are doing it now, or is this kind of like a new
No one's
innovation that's
doing what
coming
we're
out?
doing. Yep, this is. And it's funny. I just went to a conference last week in Nashville to answer that question. I
Yeah.
wanted to see who else is doing this. Is it here? Is it coming? Is it on its way? And no one's anywhere close to thinking about it, which I love.
And it's just digitizing the factoring process.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. Don't want to say too much because obviously, no
Sure.
one's doing it. I
Yeah.
don't want to give
Uh
anybody
huh.
ideas, but yeah, it digitizes the process. It almost fully automates the entire thing. But there's a few other um, components to it that if I let it out now, it may create some competition. But it it helps without saying too much. It allows for each party to find each other easier and to interact easier.
Gotcha. So
And
is
it
it more
allows.
like
Oh,
a kind of marketplace where you're matching people that do the factoring and people that need it? Or is it a all-in-one platform where you come to get your factoring and you as a company factory provide it?
all the above.
All the above. Okay. Wow. It's quite a platform. And when is that rolling out?
Yeah, we're looking to get it roll. We're looking to have the MVP by the end of the summer. We've been working on it for a while, so we're hoping to have it ready to ready to roll out to market by December, January.
Okay.
That's the goal. We've been working on it for quite some time, and we've made a lot of inroads. And this trip to the conference, I really wanted to see: are we wasting our time, but are we going to have a lot of competition? And where are they in the process? And I didn't see any. Now there's probably people there that are holding it close to their vests, so they don't want people like me to know what they're doing. So that may
Yeah,
be
yeah,
happening
yeah.
too. But MySpace was out here before Facebook. No one's talking about MySpace anymore. So, you
Yeah.
know,
I
it depends on
generally
what.
believe
Yeah,
that ideas are a dime a dozen, and it's all about the execution. I mean, anyone
execution
probably has the idea. It's all about can you execute it or not at the end of the day.
and how
Um,
you execute and
right.
how you execute. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree.
So going back to Norfleet Transportation, so you've been doing that about 30 years, you said?
Yeah, God, it sounds so bad. I mean, it
So,
sounds bad because there's companies that's been around as long as I have that are behemoths. They're massive enterprise companies, and we're
yeah.
mid-sized. We're
Okay.
you know
Do you
tens
mind
of
giving,
millions
is there
versus hundreds of
any,
millions.
yeah, is there any kind of numbers that you would be open to sharing about your company, whether it's like top line revenue or
I mean,
valuation,
they
anything like
people
that?
could look it up. Our top line is, I think our largest year was just under 60 million,
Okay.
and that's not, in my space. These companies do billions.
Yeah.
So, and then you have some that are nowhere close to where I am. So I think we're kind of in the middle. You know, they call us a mid-sized company.
Yeah.
We're
And
not enterprise.
for someone that isn't familiar with the transportation and logistics industry, can you break down the business model where, let's say that 60 million revenue comes from?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's real simple. It's simple, high level, but when you get to the granular, it's a little bit more complicated. But high level, we haul freight from one point to the other. For example, the U.S. military is one of our largest accounts. So they will say we have some uniforms to move from, New Orleans to Chicago. And we will say, okay, we'll charge you this much. And they'll say, okay, that's fine. So we agree on the rate. Then we send a truck to pick up the freight. They pick it up, they deliver it. The driver gives us what they call proof of delivery. It's a signed bill of lading. So, yeah. Well, I was going to say when you ship freight, you have to have a bill of lading at the shipper. And then when you get to the receiver signs the bill of lading. And then that becomes a proof of delivery, right? So the driver gives us a proof of delivery. We invoice the customer, and that's the A to Z of the
That makes
transaction.
sense. Okay, and I
Yeah.
imagine for a company like that, there's probably different ways to do it. Like I assume some freight companies might own their own trucks, whereas some companies might like subcontract that out, and they're just like a broker for the freight. Is that right?
100%. So a lot of companies like JB Hunt, Warner Enterprises, um, you see those on the road probably a good bit. They all have their own trucks and they all have a brokerage. It's just like us. They're just much larger than we are. They're the ones that are doing 20, 30 billion dollars in revenue, but they also been around for 100 years.
Yeah. So do you
But then you
also have
have,
your own trucks and
yes,
brokerage? Okay.
that's correct. We have our trucks and brokerage, but there's some companies like C.H. Robinson, TQL stands for Total Quality Logistics. They don't have any trucks, and they are strictly brokers, and they're doing 20, 30 billion dollars in revenue. So you don't have to have a truck. Clearly, they made that very clear. But we like to have a little bit more control. That's why we keep our asset. They call it asset division.
Yeah. What is keeping you from growing to the same size of these other companies that have been in the industry for a similar amount of time as you?
Excellent question. There's one thing I just discovered late in my career is a process called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. Are you
Yep.
familiar with that?
Yep.
So we just ran into that, and I'm so grateful because I'm starting to be able to put a lot of these ideas and processes into place and measure them. They say if you can measure it, you can improve it. So
That's right.
we're trying to make sure our processes are solid and we're measuring it. And this is new to me. Whereas before, a lot of my sales was just me meeting people and then I would hire salespeople and nobody wants to pick up the phone anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants to rely on emails and automated processes on LinkedIn and stuff
Yep.
like that. Nothing beats good old fashioned, you know, well, first of all, nothing beats good old fashioned face to face. There's nothing beats that. That's why so many people win when they go to conventions and conferences and expos. But then I think the second thing is you got to talk to them on the phone. You have to build a rapport. You have to build a relationship, and that's where I think we really suffered. But I've locked into that now. I have a solid team. I think we're going to double revenues, every year from here on out. So I'm really excited about that. But the fact that we've been able to do, 50, 60 million just off of my relationships is, I got to pat myself on the back a little bit. But shame on me for not implementing a solid sales process
Yeah.
prior. But I will say this, you know, most, if not all companies in my space, they all like when you see accident attorneys, their number one expense is marketing. Yeah, I don't know if you ever see Morgan and Morgan, all these companies, you see
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
billboards. Their number one expense. Same thing in my industry because there's so many companies like ours. The competition is so steep that the sales process has to be solid. So when you see the big boys, they all have an amazing sales process. So the fact that we've been able to do as well as we have without it has been quite incredible. But now we're about to really show
Yeah.
people what we could do.
How big is your staff now?
We have about 120 people.
Okay. That's pretty good. I mean, you're doing what? About 500,000 in revenue per employee?
Yeah, that's good math. Man, you're
Yeah,
quick.
that's pretty good. Are
Yeah, I
you
mean,
looking to expand the number of people, or what are you, I guess, what is your plan to kind of increase your revenue? So you're looking to double revenue from here on out. What actually goes
100%.
into that?
Yeah, we're going to have more sales staff and we're going to have more operators. people who are actually handling the transactions. We're automating like crazy. We have a lot of AI because everybody wants to automate everything, which I love. And we're not letting people go. We're just moving people around. So that's really nice. And retraining people on, for the future, really. Like a lot of these processes that we've been doing for years, they're not going to require adults. I mean, not adults, but humans to process these things. So I'm trying to train people to stay ahead of that and stay employed, whether they're here with us or somewhere else.
And let's get into the AI aspect a little bit more. So as AI gets better and better, what are you doing within your company to, one, stay competitive, right? Because as AI gets better, that also means your competitors also get better because you all have the same access to the better and better AI tools. And two, are you looking to, like what does that training look like for your employees to use AI? Are you bringing in outside trainers in? Is it something that you yourself are becoming more familiar with and you do the hands-on training? What does it actually look like to kind of run a business now where AI is getting better?
Right now, the companies that I'm working with that are providing the software that has AI, they provide a lot of the training. But what am I doing? I'm just making sure my staff goes to the training
Yeah.
and takes these
Uh-huh.
courses, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. But it feels like it's still kind of a wild west, because a lot of stuff these guys are promising, once we implement it, I'm like, hey, I thought I could do this. I thought I could do that. I thought I could do this. Oh yeah, well you got to do this. You got to do. So it's not fully automated. It's not as automated as I thought it would be. So for example, we want to provide visibility to our customers, and the AI bots are supposed to uh, provide updates to our customers every 15 minutes or every half hour, or whatever they want. It's just not doing that. The proof of deliveries that I mentioned earlier, when they're sent in from the driver, it's supposed to automatically match it up to the proper load that it delivered in our system. It's not doing that. So, we're still. I feel like we're still figuring out this new tool called AI. You know, I know there's a thing called paperclip. I
Yep.
don't know.
Yep.
I just learned about that the other day. Apparently, you could train the bots to do exactly pretty much what you want. However, you have to put in like really serious boundaries because it'll go off and do all kind of things. So
And it takes a lot to
um,
configure.
it
A
takes.
lot, a
That's what
lot
they
of
were
time
telling
to
me.
configure.
So I was thinking, man, how much time is I have to work. I have to.
Yeah.
How
Uh-huh.
much time am I willing to put into that? So it's still a wild west. I feel like. We just have to really be careful, be focused, be diligent, and be aware that it is still fresh, and don't rely on it too heavily just yet. You know what I mean? Like really look under and check things out. Don't rest on your laurels just yet with AI.
Yeah.
That's where
Do
I'm
you have
at.
any predictions on where it's going to be in a couple of years?
God, I say in the next, it's so fast. It's moving so fast that AI, it learns, right? It's constantly learning. I thought Chat GPT was amazing, and now I hear, I just got Claude. Is it Claude?
Yeah, you
That's a
Claude
whole nother
Code,
level.
OpenClaw, Hermes, all these different AI agents.
Perplexity,
Uh-huh.
Gemini. It's like a race, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm looking at contracts, for example. You used to just sign it and just, that was it. You just throw it in one of these chats, and it's like, hey, you gotta sign this. Did you look at this? Did you look at that? Did you look at this? I'll create a response to that person. Let them know they need to change these things. Like that's gonna change the game so much. Um, so in the next couple years, I do think the bots are gonna be a big deal. I just saw that Salesforce acquired Slack, and now they
Mm-hmm.
have these Slack bots.
Yep.
Man, we're about to see some stuff. So I think this time next year, our conversations are going to be like, "Can you believe this is happening? Can you believe that's
Yeah.
happening?" You know
Well,
what I
hopefully
mean?
I have you back on the podcast in a year from
Yeah.
now and we can talk about what's
Yes.
changed.
Yes. And I have a podcast too, by the way. It's called No Half Stepping. with Leonard Jackson. Just go to nohalfstepping.com. You'll check all my stuff. But we talk a little bit more about worldly things, maybe not so much about business, but having this conversation is making me think I should probably talk a little bit more about business on my
Yeah,
podcast.
you should. I mean, it seems like you have a wealth of knowledge to share.
Thank you. 30 years. If I haven't picked something up in 30 years, shame on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And who is taking the initiatives right now inside the company to implement and try these different AI things out? It seems like you've tried a couple of things. Is it, are you just trying it out and see if they can try it
It's
out, or is
really
it?
me right now. I want to say something. I really want people to, if I don't say anything, I want to say this because I really want people to hear this. One thing I've learned in business, and maybe it's just me, but you got to do a SWOT analysis on yourself. You got to know your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But one thing I've learned being in business as long as I have is, uh, you know, if I would have spent more time on my weaknesses or pick people to fill that void where I'm weak, I'd probably be a lot further along than I am. Now, don't get me wrong. I know we do pretty well, and a lot of companies fail after a certain amount of time. I know all that. But I just think I look at my competitors that are doing hundreds of millions, billions. I should be right there. But these areas like hiring people, I'm not the best because I give people too many chances but this EOS thing, I think I needed to know about this years ago. Had I really paid attention to my weaknesses, I probably would have done it a long time ago. So know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and totally fully utilize your strengths, but also do something about your weaknesses.
Yeah,
So I just want to make sure I say that. All right. So what
that's
was
great
that
advice.
question again?
I
I'm
think
sorry.
people take frameworks like SWOT analysis and they kind of chalk it off as like, oh, that's some MBA framework, but it's actually really helpful for pretty much anything that you're doing.
Anything. Anything. Even if you're a pro basketball player, you might be really good at dunking the ball, but your jump shots are not going down, and your overall game would be much better if you did. I know people talk about Michael Jordan all the time, but I'm a big Michael Jordan fan too. But that was him. He's like, I got to work on my jump shot. That's my
Yeah.
weakness. And then when he couldn't beat the Detroit Pistons those 2 or 3 seasons, he went to the gym, started working out. So you, if obviously you want to capitalize on your strengths, but you got to address your weaknesses. So and be a doer. I know you said something earlier. You got to execute. We talked a lot about this in grad school as well. You have a lot of thinkers and you have a lot of doers. You have thinkers. If you could be a little bit of both, I think that's the key. Probably more on the do side because when you do, you learn as you do,
Yeah.
right? Because you're gonna fail. Hopefully, you'll fail because you learn so much from
You
the
got to fail
failures.
fast.
You got to fail fast and get up and keep going, and that's the only reason why I'm in business because I failed like crazy. The first year and a half I got in business, I quit. I was like, well, I tried, man. I did the best I
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
because things kept going wrong, and I was like, all right, I guess it's not for me. And my dad said, are you really gonna just walk away after all you put into this thing? I said, you know what? He's kind of got a point. So I went back at it, and here I am today. So when you think it's a brick wall, it's a speed bump. I know we've heard it before. It sounds cliche, but I promise you, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm far from it. But you just got to have some tenacity. You got to have some fight in you. If you don't have fight in you, then yeah, maybe it's not for you. Go get a job and work for somebody. But if you want to have your own thing, you got to know how to pivot. You have to know how to problem solve, and you got to have a little fight in you.
Is there any specific advice you would give to someone who's maybe wants to get into a similar industry as you, whether it's a kind of brokerage firm or maybe they want to get into freight and logistics? Is there any specific advice you have there? And let's say, I mean, obviously it's different than when you started your company 30 years ago, but knowing what you know now, is any specific advice you give to someone who wants to start out in your industry?
Run for the hills. I'm just kidding. No, it's funny. I was listening to a podcast today. I usually don't listen to podcasts, but I'm going to start more. But I was listening to one today. There's a guy from a company called Reed Transport. They got bought by Werner Enterprises. Werner is massive. But he was talking about his beginnings. He graduated college, and then he ended up um, driving a forklift at UPS, and then he ended up going up from there. I actually started by working for, when I was in high school, I was working for a friend of mine's dad who had a very small trucking company, but he had a trailer repair company. And he literally had me cutting the grass. And I said, well, I could type. I'm pretty good with the keyboard. I could do stuff in the office. So he brought me in the office, I think a few days later, and he couldn't believe how fast I could get these invoices typed up. And I ended up being the vice president of his little company in 2 years. And I thought to myself, this is not that hard. Like, I've always
Yeah.
kind of had a business sense, you know? And I would ask him, why aren't you doing this for this customer? Why aren't you doing that? Have you thought about this? I remember doing that a lot. And he's like, oh, no, oh, no. So I was like, I'm doing this myself. Like, this is crazy. He's not doing these things. And that's where I got started. But, I think if you want to get in logistics, I think it's very wise to work for companies like mine to kind of learn the ropes. Um, uh, to come in as a truck driver, I don't know about that. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I don't see a lot of these guys transition from truck driving. They kind of get there and they're kind of there, you know. But if they want to be a dispatcher, they want to get into being a logistics specialist or do sales. Being a sales for a logistics company, I think is key. That's huge, especially if you want to have your own business at some point.
Yeah.
Because
Everything
sales
sales.
is, yeah, all right, yeah, you already know what I'm talking about. If you know
And break
sales and
that
you
and
can
break
get
that down
business,
for our viewers. Why is everything sales?
man, shoot, if you're a great sales and you can get the business, you could plug in a CPA, a billing specialist, insurance company, a bookkeeper. Like you could plug those people in, operations manager. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. Period. I mean, obviously, if you have some novel, amazing product that everybody needs and it totally revolutionizes some space that you're in, yeah, you may not need sales as much. But if you're in a red ocean, I don't know if you're familiar with red ocean and blue ocean. There's a book called Blue Ocean. I think you guys should all pick up. There's 3 books you all need to get. Listen to me right now. Rich Dad Poor Dad. Uh, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People and Blue Ocean. If you want to have your own business and be successful, I highly recommend those 3 books. Blue Ocean, I didn't read until grad school, which is recently. And they talk about industries where there's a lot of competition, but you want to stand out. You got to. So they call that a red ocean when it's just
Hmm.
everybody fighting for the same customer. But if you come up with something novel within that space, you create a blue ocean, and you now are in demand because you have a differentiator. So I highly recommend that book. And I'm not sure if I answered your question, actually. We
I think
both
the
forgot
question.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the last question was, what would be like a specific like insight or something that you give to someone who wants to get into your industry, which I think you'd answered.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. My bad. I know I go on tangents, but
No, no, no.
there's
That's great.
certain
That's
things
great.
I really want people to hear.
Yeah.
And this is not just me talking. This is other entrepreneurs I talk to. So, but yeah, I think those are very important things to remember. And I'll say something else. Not everybody has a stomach for this, man. I think if you are prone to be high stress, high anxiety, can't handle, you know, problems, and you can't develop the problem solving muscle. I think it's just gonna. It may not. Some people are better off, working for someone, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. That's not a bad thing because you got to think about it. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't get a day off. You can't take work comes home with you. Even if you hire a COO or you hire someone to run your business, you're still the guy.
Yeah, your
If
brain is
there's an
always going
accident or
24/7.
yeah, yes, yes. One thing I remember, which is that's why I'm thinking about exiting my company. The one thing that sticks with me when I talk to people who have sold their company is and I can't even imagine what this is like because it's been so long. But they said they don't even wake up and have to go to their phone first thing and check their email and wait, holding their breath, like, okay, what went wrong? Like not having that, I can't even imagine what that would be like. So if you can't handle that, then you don't need to get in this business, get in any business. But I will say this as well: I'm that guy who takes a break because I know if I don't, I'm gonna burn out. There's some people like my son that's your age. I'm assuming he's your age, but he goes and he doesn't have he doesn't take a break. He just goes, 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 goes. You can't do that, man. You're gonna burn out and you're gonna cook everything. So anyway, I'm rambling
Okay.
now. So
Well,
yeah.
last question for you as we're wrapping up here. Is there any certain marketing or growth strategies that have worked really well for you in your business? Because I know that you told me a lot of your business comes from government contracts. So maybe tell me a little bit about, any sort of sales or marketing tactics that have worked that has gotten you generally the most business. Where does a lot of that come from now? Is it
Well,
conference?
when I
I think you
first
mentioned conferences too. Is it a lot of conferences?
conferences, meeting people face to face is nothing's gonna beat that. I just don't think anything could beat that because let me give you an example, and I'll try to speed this up, try to condense it. But when you're doing cold calls, you got to get through the what? The gatekeeper, right? And then if you're lucky enough to get through the gatekeeper, you got to convince this person to listen to you, uh, give you a try, give you a shot, return your call, stay engaged. That's an uphill battle. You go to a conference or expo or something like that, you meet someone, you guys kind of hit it off, talk about the Lakers or whatever. You call him next week, he's picking up that phone. You've already kind of earned the right to be in a room, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing beats face to face. Now the next step I think is phone calls. A lot of people hate cold calling. A lot of people hate it. And so that gives you an advantage right there. But if you finally get through that gatekeeper and you catch that guy or that lady at the right time, they might say, you know what, I just had a company fail on me. Let's give it a shot. I'm so upset with this company. Yeah, let's go. You just never know. This email thing, obviously, that's what a lot of people are doing now. Email and LinkedIn and all these messages. I'm gonna be honest with you. I once I realize it's a spam or it's something like that, I check out unless it's something I'm really needing. You know what I mean? So my success has been the relationships. I go visit customers. I check on how their kids are doing, like the rapport, the relationships. God dang it, I said I was going to condense this. The last thing I'll say about that is if you have a good rapport, a good relationship with your customers, when someone tries to backdoor you or when someone tries to go to your customer at cheaper rates or a better something, they're probably not going to just say, yeah, I'll take it. They'll come back to you first and say, hey, man, I'm going to just tell you this guy's coming. He's offering this, this, this. I mean, can you beat it? Can you match it? Because now my boss is looking at me like, why aren't I using this company? Why am I still using this company? Right? You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you have
Yep.
a,
Yep.
they're not going to just cut you like that.
Right.
So I
That's
think
the
that's.
Michael Scott strategy. You watch The Office?
Oh, I've seen some episodes because my kids like it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's just a very human element, right? Like Michael Scott in The Office, he has a Rolodex of every single client. He knows when their niece's birthdays are. He knows everything about them, and he keeps it intact. He color codes everything so that it is as human and memorable as possible for every single customer.
I can't. I know it's a TV show, but I can't stress that enough. I think that's massive.
Yeah.
That's massive.
And I think that's probably going to get more important as AI gets more and more
Oh,
prevalent.
100%. I mean, can I add something? So, even the dating world, like everything is this now. Like when I was dating, there was no apps and all that. I met my wife through some friends or at a bar or at a club. Clubs are hot back then. I don't think they're hot that anymore. But it was a face to face, right? It was a
Yeah.
face to face. You meet people. And I think we're getting away from that. And it's making me sad. I mean, you look at the birth rate is plummeting. Like, it's just very, and then now AI is coming, and then guess what's right behind that? Robots.
Yeah. But they're already making them. They're already making robot companions. It's out there.
See, that's where we're gonna really see.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bad, man. Not to go on a tangent. You could edit this, but I think it's gonna be bad because if you could create the perfect companion,
Mm-hmm.
spouse, whatever, why would you even date anymore? Like, I want you to cook, I want you to clean, I want you to have long brown hair, I want you to have green eyes, I want you to be this, and then right there. I don't want you to argue with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to watch football games with me, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we're in trouble. I just hope that day doesn't come, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna come.
It's coming. It's inevitable. And how do you find the conferences that you go to?
um, Being in the industry, you know, somehow they know my email address. Maybe because I went to one thing and now my name is circulating. But I mean, nowadays, honestly, you could say to Google or Gemini or Chat or whatever, hey, I'm in this space, I'm in this industry. Give me some conferences or expos or conventions that I should attend. Um, and I actually did that. And they told me some that are geared towards my industry, but what they're not thinking about is any any industry that has a product that needs to be shipped,
Mm-hmm.
I should be at that conference
Yeah.
to tell these people I can ship your freight. So yeah, I mean nowadays with all this technology, it's so easy to do.
Is there a certain strategy you do when you go to the conference? Like, are you a person that goes around the room and just talks to everyone? Do you set up a booth, like a dedicated booth, or you sell your services? Like, how do you approach conferences?
I need to start setting up a booth. I think the booth idea is fantastic. I haven't done it yet. What I do is I walk around and I like talking to people, but I also know people that aren't really big people, too personable, and they do what they have to do. But I actually enjoy it. I actually enjoy meeting people, learning from people, talking to people. So I walk around and I get cards, and then I just follow up. Hey man, it's nice meeting you at the thing. Let me give you another example. I went to that conference last week. I had probably the second day I got home, 10, 15 people. Hey, it's great meeting you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm entertaining them. Whereas if it was a LinkedIn person or something like that, I wouldn't even respond. But they're like, hey, Leonard, it's great talking to you. Can we set up a demo next week? I'm like, yeah, sure. You know? So, yeah, just like you said earlier, the human element is a real thing. You know? Uh, you don't have to have a big personality or anything like just be yourself and talk
Yeah,
to people
just be a
like you
human.
would. Yeah, we appreciate that. So, uh, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay, awesome. And to wrap it up, Leonard, if people want to contact you, I think you mentioned a couple things like, maybe what if someone wants to work with you? Or I think you even mentioned you're thinking of selling your business. How would people contact you? Do you want to be contacted? How do they find out more information about you? Where would you like them to go?
Yeah, man. I know I said I don't really respond to stuff on LinkedIn and emails, but
Mm-hmm.
if you reference, hey, I heard you on DJ Kim's podcast, like that, talk to you about XYZ, I'm all for it. So you can email me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Um, yeah, I think those two avenues would probably be best.
Okay, awesome. So we can put your LinkedIn in the description, and if anyone wants to find you, they can connect with you and send you a message, and hopefully it's not just some spam.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Um,
Yeah.
but okay, is there any last talking points you wanted to cover?
I just want to say you do a great job, man. Something told me to do this. I usually don't respond to a lot of stuff that comes at me, but I felt like this would be a good one, and it is, and I'm glad I made the decision to come on here. I think what you're doing is great, and hopefully a lot of people are paying attention. Last thing I'll say, I think at the end of the day, I don't know who came up with that whole "just do it," but they're spot on, dude. If you have an idea, don't let it sit in your head too long. Don't wait until it's perfect. It will never be perfect. If you have an idea and you could kind of vision, if you could have a vision, uh, you just got to start. Because I'm telling you, you can have a perfectly laid out plan. I promise you, it's not going to go as planned. You're going to have to pivot at some point. Trust me on that. So just get out there. Get out there and do it.
Right. And that's the final message for everyone. Just get out and do it. Well, thanks so much, Leonard. This is Behind the Founders with Dungju Kim. And this is Leonard Jackson. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll see you in the next one.
My pleasure. Take care.